I kind of intentionally haven't really covered what's been going on with Andrew since the second autobiography came out, which kind of put him in some deep quicksand, shall we say. And that was to do with, well, it was prior to him losing his... Before then, things were bad enough, you could say, but of course, they've got worse. I wanted to take a minute to see, with all the Epstein documents being released, I thought give it a moment and let's see what else comes out of the mud. And, well, some things have been revealed. A lot of it, I think, is just what people had been told, suspected and knew already, being either confirmed by the pictures of Andrew laying across multiple young ladies and other information. So now is actually look into the story a little bit further and see, well, we are actually gonna just look at some of the stories that have come out, and well, yesterday they haven't been an improvement for Andrew's situation. I think it's progressed, not in a positive way, or regressed rather would be a better word, if that is actually such a word. So let's have a look at some of these stories and just see how it's fared for Andrew. Let's get it. I should have actually said formerly known as Prince Andrew.
Things are going from bad to worse for the man formerly known as Prince Andrew. Bombshell new Jeffrey Epstein files reveal Ghislaine Maxwell sought to procure intelligent, pretty and fun girls. Well, things are going from bad to worse for the man formerly known as Prince Andrew. Bombshell new Jeffrey Epstein files reveal Ghislaine Maxwell sought to procure intelligent, pretty and fun girls from good families in Peru to make a good friend she referred to as Andrew very happy. A person calling themselves A at Balmoral Castle asked Maxwell in an email in 2022 whether she had found him some new inappropriate friends. While person A is not identified in the files, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor conducted a 6-day official visit to Peru in March 2002 to mark the 50th year of his mother's reign. Joining me now is Sky News contributor Kosha Garda. Kosha, what do you say? It just gets worse and worse, doesn't it?
Sure does, Nika, as you said, from bad to worse. Andrew, just like Bill Clinton, who was in the news in the last 48 hours, they've been linked with Jeffrey Epstein and all these sordid affairs for some time now. So it's not new news per se, but just the more these details come dripping out, keeps them in the news cycle. There's more, in Clinton's case, photographic evidence. In this case, more details about words that were exchanged. It's not helpful to them. The betting markets are betting on who else is in the list. Like, when will we actually get new news and new names that haven't yet been revealed? And there's all sorts of people running wild over that as well. And of course, every time this happens, it is one of the rare cases where the Trump administration has faltered with its own base. And they just also are kind of angry at not having all of this laid out in one go, in one fell swoop, and just having more transparency, because everybody is really curious about who else has been involved or was involved with Jeffrey Epstein.
I'm not really coming down in favor of, or not in favor of, the person formerly known as Prince Andrew. Only to say that watching the media coverage over X amount of months, sometimes, at least well before these new pictures and files were released, sometimes I did get the sense that this is a major scoop, great story for the networks, and it seemed just like, to an extent, they were really going after him as he was the biggest name, biggest highlight they could cover and link to Epstein at the time. Now, the accusations are very, they're, hard to kind of like, one way or the other, get around. And the pictures, they say a picture speaks a thousand words, are even more revealing. So, I'm not really coming down on it one way or the other. Suffice to say that the media, they definitely really went out of their way to feature him and go after him. We're going to have our own opinions. Let me know what yours are in the comments. Hit that bell if you haven't yet subscribed. And let me know what you think about all of this.
I want to talk about the royal family, or most particularly Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew, of course, who appears to be spending Christmas somewhat alone. Well, at least we know his daughter Bea won't be there because she's chosen to go skiing with mates. But there's also other bad news for Andrew. As I said earlier, you know, you expect the bottom of the barrel to have been somewhere a couple of months ago, right? But somehow, the bottom of the barrel keeps going lower and lower and lower. And the latest tranche of photographs that have been released by the DOJ in the US of the Epstein files show more and more photographs of Andrew, and in fact what he has done to the royal reputation. The parties, shooting parties, one party where the photograph is taken, we believe, although there's no context to the photograph, of Andrew in Sandringham lying across the laps of many women whose faces have been redacted. But staff, I believe at that time, said that the clean-up after that party involved sex, drugs. What time is it? I probably can't use that word. Lots of adult paraphernalia, I'm going to put it like that and leave it to your imagination, was found in the bathrooms and in the bedrooms. Well, joining me now to discuss this is Andrew Lownie, who's an author and historian, written the excellent book, The Rise and Fall of the House of York. And boy, it keeps falling, doesn't it, Andrew? I mean, honestly, I just think, well, it can't get any worse. And then we get this latest news.
I'm afraid it is going to get worse. I think there's much more still to come out. I just know myself from material I've found, but also we're going to have more legal depositions. We're going to have more victims coming forward, and there's plenty more material that's going to be released. I mean, this is this drip, drip feed. So I don't think he's out of the woods at all. And I think this is what clearly the royal family were worried about when they cut him loose. They realized that he hadn't been honest with them. And as you say, it is shocking that he's using royal residences like Sandringham as a sort of playground to entertain these women.
I mean, I know I think you covered that in your book, didn't you? That what happened after that party.
Yes, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that adult paraphernalia was found because he is a good host, and in all the guest rooms, even in some of his own properties, he provides all sorts of things that he thinks people might need.
Yes, so I don't, when I've got guests, just so you know, provide adult paraphernalia. It doesn't make me a bad host. But the interesting thing with this, Andrew, is actually the reputational damage that it does to these almost sacred places, right, to the royal family, Sandringham being one of them. And also other royal occasions where he's brought Epstein along as his plus one. You know, I mean, this is all, it's kind of, I mean, thank goodness the Queen and the Queen Mother aren't around to see this latest tranche of information, right?
Yes, well, I mean, exactly. He entertained both Ghislaine and others, and Epstein at Ascot in the royal box. I mean, lots of associates were entertained, for example, to tea or by King Charles or the former Queen at Balmoral. Epstein talked about the hat trick that was going to Balmoral, Windsor and Sandringham. But, you know, he was taking people into the throne room at Buckingham Palace. He treated all these places, as I say, as a place that he could impress his friends with. And of course, they took lots of pictures, and this was part of their hold over him. It showed just the level of access and trust that there was between them. But it rather belies his claims that he hardly knew Epstein and hardly ever saw him. I mean, what I discovered in the course of my 4 years research was you couldn't believe a single word that Andrew said. It had to be checked out. And time again, you know, even the times when he knew Epstein were actually that the relationship began much earlier and ended much later than he claims. And
also, of course, his ex-wife, she had her own relationship with Epstein. I mean, my understanding is that he refused to take phone calls from Fergie at one point because he was fed up of her asking for money.
Yes, I mean, I think this is the bit that's been ignored in a lot of the press coverage. Everything's been focused on Andrew and Virginia Jeffrey. But Sarah Ferguson had more numbers in the Little Black Book than actually Andrew. She was often in New York, I mean, sometimes twice a month, staying in one of Epstein's flats as late as 2014, so years after she claimed to have cut off links with him. They had something called the Britannia Suite that they used at his home on 71st Street because they were there so often. But you're absolutely right. The sum that she borrowed from him, never to be returned, was probably closer to $2 million than the £15,000 that she's claimed. And, you know, we know how close she was. And of course, this is all, it doesn't play very well for someone who was making her money writing children's books and supporting children's charities.
I mean, it absolutely does beg a belief. I mean, we all know that Fergie's been a grifter, right? I mean, we saw that with the when she was captured by, I think it was the Sun newspaper with the Arab...
News of the World.
Oh, News of the World, same family. But yeah, we saw that, didn't we? Her grifting to sell connections and to sell introductions that she went through. But when it comes to Epstein, that is a whole different ball game of embarrassment, isn't it? That she's there begging him for money. What else she got involved in, we don't know, but certainly it's embarrassing for the whole of the firm. Rupert, I mean, it's knock after knock for this man, isn't it? He's not going to be happy with this one.
No, I don't think he is, and I know that he has been shooting this season, which runs sort of technically for the kind of shoots that you may be alluding to, pheasant shooting, partridge shooting, which he's been part of, you know, which actually, if you look at what was supposed to have happened in Sandringham in 2000, some of these pictures, it was a shooting party, yes. And referred to as a shooting party, a perfectly normal thing. So it is something that has tried to give him a degree of normality in the lifestyle that he is used to. Of course, for most people, a day shooting is something they would never do. But for him, it's fairly normal routine. But to take his shotgun license away, I mean, I'm not privy to the details of this. So, in my case, it would be speculation. But, you know, I do know there are strict rules about having a shotgun, and it is something that the police take very seriously, that you need a shotgun license if you're going to own one, and there are strict rules governing the use of that shotgun license and you have got to be totally responsible for that gun. So I understand, but in this, it just feels for him it would be another blow away from taking for something that he enjoyed doing, and there were friends still prepared to invite him for a day's shooting. So I don't know whether that has an impact on that, these new regulations, but obviously for him it is a further indication that he's certainly not able to fulfill anything like his normal life, even with the loss of title and everything else that's going on around him. Yeah,
I'm like you, Rupert. I'd be interested to see what the police's justification for this is, because he's not been found guilty of anything apart from being incredibly unpopular with everybody at this stage. We have to say that. It'd just be interesting because he's got no criminal convictions as to why they took his license off him. But it will be interesting to find out. I think he's allowed to use the gun if he's accompanied by somebody, a babysitter, I think, but he's under strict supervision. So he
and I would have thought that's probably easily to sort of manage, and there probably maybe rules of usage. So who he's with, who might be a designated person to hold his gun in his name that he might be able to use under very strict guidance. So it is a sort of muddy waters.
Well, it's embarrassing, isn't it, for him if he's out with his cronies as well?
Yeah, exactly. So for the whole thing, I mean, he is struggling to find friends. It looks like he's going to be spending Christmas in sort of almost on his own, because obviously he doesn't appear, he's not going to Sandringham, and his daughters seem reluctant to spend Christmas with him. Certainly one of them, Beatrice, is going off skiing, I believe. She may have already gone. So, you know, it's going to be a lonely Christmas for him. But, you know, of course, he's always strenuously denied every allegation.
Yeah.
And while yet more revelations coming out of and sort of allegations coming out from these Epstein letters that, you know, might be some of it might be sort of wild sort of conspiracy theories within these letters. But again, he's at the heart of it. He is the one that is easily and perennially beaten with this one. He's the easy one to have a go at. But of course, even now, the allegations, President Trump in the mid-90s, he flew on the private plane of Jeffrey Epstein on countless times. But again, we don't know. And he's always strenuously denied that he's ever been implicated in anything. So it's all very unseemly. But Andrew is the one who does seem to be the fool guy in this. But the reason he is the fool guy, because he did that disastrous interview in 2019, and it all unravelled after that, because and
he's particularly arrogant. There's one thing that the British public, they like a bit of, people being a little bit humble, which he has never displayed, ever. And I think that has also stitched him up. But we always forget when we talk about this whole Epstein thing that Fergie was incredibly embroiled with Epstein, constantly phoning him and asking for money. She's into him for millions of pounds that she's never paid back. I wonder where she's going to spend Christmas. Will that be interesting to see if she spends it with her favourite ex?
I must say, it ain't gone well at all for Andrew. Before we wrap up, I'd just like to have a word from today's video sponsors, and they are smalldebts.co.uk. They help you with any financial battles you happen to be fighting. If you're wrongly charged for something online or by any kind of organisation and they're really driving you around the bend, you just don't know how to deal with them, you need somebody in your corner, or you have money that's due to you that somebody's reluctant to pay and holding off on repatriating to you, smalldebts.co.uk can help you sort out any of those type of issues. Look them up. The information will be in the description. Check them out.
Have you been unfairly charged or conned by a company? At Small Debts, no company is too big and no debt too small. Small Debts is here to help.
Need an accounts team without the hiring costs? Small Debts provides full-service invoicing and credit control, managing everything from invoice submission to reminders and follow-ups. We can send emails from your domain or ours. Let Small Debts keep the cash flow rolling whilst you focus on growing the business.
It just doesn't look good for Andrew. I mean, whichever way you spin it, it hasn't really looked good for him from the start. And I don't think this is the end of it. I think it's going to keep rolling and rolling. I'm not sure if it's going to expand to the point of Andrew being extradited. I mean, that would be a real long shot at this point in time. But you never know. I mean, look at the files, look at the photos, look at what's coming to the fore now. It could be a possibility. Well, all I'd say is we're going to watch this space. We're going to keep our eye on this space and see what transpires in the coming future. Thank you. You've been here with myself, Onyu, as per usual, here at CornerSpeak. Be good, be safe, be creative. Hit that bell, leave a comment. I'd like to hear from you. I will respond to your comments and let me know what you think. What's Andrew going to do with his time now? He's already lost his titles. Prior to that, he was cut out of a lot of the royal engagements and whatever role he normally played in that whole operation. So, I mean, I don't even think he's allowed to live in his former house allocated to him when he was a prince. So life has changed for him. I'm not, again, dropping it on either side. If, if this is some kind of a payback, there's others that might have suffered much. Some might say much worse than anything that he could be experiencing at this point in time. But I don't think he's having a good time, whichever way you look at it. So again, be good, be safe, be creative. For myself here at CornerSpeak, I'm out.